Welcome to the Digital Moneta channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a live trade. What we're looking for is a momentum trade actually here. BAT just had some news released regarding the release of a Chromium-based browser. Now we're starting to see some movement here. We're starting to see a little bit of a spike. We could get, what we'd actually be looking for is it had a little bit of resistance here. So if we broke above that resistance, then we have upward movement. Next resistance up here around 3% to almost 3% gain. So again, we may go ahead and watch this and see if we can break this resistance here. We can break through this resistance here, and we'd be comfortable with this level down in here. So let's see what our candles do. We had a little bit more green than red on the last candles. See if we can punch through this resistance. If we do, we'll go ahead and get prepped. Now normally we would not be trading from the web browser for Binance. We would actually use the desktop, but since we're trying to make this video for everyone, it's a lot easier to be within the web browser for the screen capture purposes. There we go, 72. So now we're up above it. We're gonna go ahead, seeing better volume, see if we can't get a buy-in at the that it is moving up. It's getting the right momentum, the volume's in place. Look over here. Definitely have the volume going the right way, price going the right way. Let's see if we can't get a buy-in here around 76. We've got our order on, and now we're waiting to see if we can fill at 76. See how much time we got left on that candle. Got a couple minutes left on that candle, but as you can see over here on TradingView, we've broken through kind of that barrier, and it's showing better volume, showing the momentum in the right direction. So we got filled at the 76. So now we're in at 76. So now we need to start setting up our stops. Like we said, we knew we wanted to prepare a stop down here. And that's another thing when you're trading. Before you execute a trade, know your exits and entries. You definitely want to know where you're going to exit at. Okay, so we can see where we got in at. We'd see where our stop would be at is down here at the 35.29 range. And then we're actually looking for this to go. Our target is going to be, overall, we'd like to see it hit here. We'll go ahead and drop in a profit loss so it makes it a little easier to see. And if we scoot this over, start centering this up a little. And so on the upside, let's see where our downside line is at, because we're going to run it at a 1-to-1 ratio basically. 397. So we're going to actually move up our stop position because we want it on a 1-to-1 level. So our stop is actually going to be, that's about as close as I'm going to get with this jerky Binance exchange. I'll tell you. No wonder people complain. The web app, the desktop app runs much smoother, much cleaner than this herky-jerky nonsense. So right now we're watching lighter volume on the red candles, heavier volume on the green candles. That's really what we're looking for in a momentum trade. We're above our moving averages. So the idea is to stay above those moving averages, and this should swing on up. And one of the factors of this trade was the news that came out. And so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. We've got everything in place here. I'm going to set it up on trading view so I don't bang my head against the wall as much with the herky-jerky of that web app. So we know we got in on this candle, this green candle here, I believe. Yes, at 76. And we have our stop set at there. And up here, taking profit on the high end. Now we may take profit earlier. That's a pretty decent run up. So normally on these momentum trades, we'd like to see a minimum of a 1% gain, and then obviously we'd like to ride it up to where we think it might actually run into resistance, which we had noted back here on these candles back here. Looks like the volume's falling out on us as far as the bulls go. Although we still got a little bit of time actually on this candle. We still have about 2 minutes to go. So if we chop this in about half, call it 1.5, because I think we were looking at a 3% pop. We're looking at 37.30, so we'll drop a line at 37.30. At that point, we would probably start tightening up some of our stop losses. Again, trying to capture a 1-to-1 ratio. It kind of depends on volume and what we're seeing with the action here. We definitely have some resistance at this point here. We had broken through it, but we didn't stay through it. And again, we were kind of triggered on this with volume, and then the news down here of the new Brave browser being released by the folks that hold these basic attention tokens, the BAT tokens. A lot of times when we see a token over 10%, BAT's actually up about 13% right now for the day. We actually do see some pretty good momentum up, and we could actually achieve, and obviously they were up quite a bit more earlier today, around 6:40 a.m. Pacific time. So they have the potential of climbing back up on momentum, and that's what we're looking for. Purely momentum trend. It does not fall within. Now back here it might have fallen within our technical analysis, breaking the 20 and breaking Bollinger. I mean, it just misses. But had that one qualified, we could have got in and then taken this nice little walk up. And that's definitely going to be at least a 2.5% walk up. But as it is now, we're kind of watching this momentum, hoping we're able to ride this up. We jump over to the 1 minute just to see. Now when we trade the 5 minute, it's all based on the 5 minute. We will jump between different candle sizes just to see what's actually happening. So we could see our entry was back in here, that we actually did have the momentum up on the 1 minute side, but then it definitely went back. Now we're seeing a little more momentum up on the 1 minute side. It's over here now. And then of course we can jump out to the 15 minute and see that we still have this momentum moving upwards, other than just that last little current candle. It's battling on that. Go a little further out to the 30 minute. And again, we saw this big move down, went sideways, and on the 30 minute we definitely have, again, the momentum up. We have more volume in the green, but we are actually trading within the 5 minute candle. So everything as far as stops and everything go fall within this parameter here. Let's see if we get a runner now. Broken through that level. Let's see if we can stay above that level. We got about 21 seconds. See if we can close above that level. Looks like it's going to pull back to that level. And it really did. It's going to pull back and close out pretty much. Well, we got a little bit of jump right before. And pull back. And it's closed pretty much right at that level, although it did open up. The next candle did open a little up. Volume's not great though. Volume's definitely not great. But need to see a lot more volume to push this upwards. This volume isn't going to get it done as quickly as we would want. Again, this is all momentum. We're trying to get in and out as quickly as we possibly can. The longer we sit in this, the more likely this will move against us. Especially down in these 1 minute, 5 minute time frames. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to crank up our stop right into this level here. And we'll probably go just below it. And so what we're seeing, actually, again, I need to jump back over to the 5 minute before I mess with that stop, because that's what we're trading on. And I think I'm actually alright. I actually might even come into here. Yeah, I think I'll actually crank this up a little bit more, tighten it up a little bit more into here, as we don't want to let this turn completely negative against us. It's been running momentum-wise okay. We're above the moving averages. We're below the upper Bollinger Band, so it's not overbought. The volume's off. That's the only concerning thing here, is the volume. But we are getting the correct movement in our direction. Got about 2 minutes left on this candle. If we could get this candle to run up a bit and stay above what was previously, we were looking at some resistance here. Go ahead and we can get rid of that line. Again, we were looking at a possible profit line here, and what that line equated to was about 1.5%, which is about half the move. So we would probably liquidate about half our position here, move up our stop to break even, our stop loss to break even, and try to follow it up for the remaining half up to that 3% line. So it's starting to push up there. Okay, at least that candle did have some good volume up, and it did close above the barrier we were looking for it to close through. And now we're on to our next 5 minute candle. And it really pulled back on this last candle. This wick is really in the last minute, and it actually probably last 30 seconds that it pulled back. So the key here is that it closed above this breakout range, and then now we're looking to hold above to keep this momentum going. So if we open the data box, we can actually see what's actually trading here. We can see how this is moving. Bollinger Bands, we can see the RSI number. We can watch the volume. Volume is a big thing on momentum trading. We've got about 1.5 minutes left here, and we'd like to see a little more momentum on this candle and push this up a little bit more. But again, right now our objective is closing steadily above this zone here. This zone was our previous resistance that we were calculating, so we're really hoping to see it close above there. Again, decent volume. Volume's still proving to be, our upward volume is still proving to be better than the last couple down. Not that downward move, but that was a bigger downward move. And we are closing within our kill zone. This is what we're looking for. Anything above here would be ideal, but as long as we're above here, that's where we want to be. And the last couple candles have closed above what we previously saw as resistance. So let's see if we can get some volume going on this candle and make a move up. We'd like to see one of these bigger candle moves upward. And we've got multiple screens, so if you see me looking in different directions, I'm looking at the different screens to see what's actually happening on a few other charts, a few other coins we're watching, and Binance as well. So that wick would have broken through 1%. We could have taken a quick scalp on this one at 1%. If we were able to get it to break through resistance, which we did, the next stopping point's up here at 3+%. So that's why we pegged this 1.5 rather than a 1% scalp. Alright, final minute of this candle. Let's see if the bulls will try to take a run here at the end. Pretty light volume. We see we did about 200,000 on the last candle, and we're down at about half that on this candle. So let's see what happens. And I'm getting those figures over here. So right now it's on this candle. If I go over to that candle, we get all of our different volumes as I move from the candles. And we can see this opened up. This candle opened at 36.88. The lowest it got was 36.71, so it had dipped below the zone. And now we're on our new candle. So that candle ended up closing out negative. And then we're on to our new candle. And it closed still above the zone, but ever so slightly. We can see that it actually closed at 36.80. Which is acceptable. I mean, it had reached as high as 36.88. So as long as we stay above this zone, we are fairly comfortable with our trade. Now, if we look, now that we've moved our stop up, we are at a 2-to-1 ratio, which is really where we want to be. Especially on a momentum trade, you want to be at 2-to-1, because then you only really have to be right 33% of the time in order to break even, and anything above 33% of the time, you'll be profitable. If we were to move this down, we're still at our 1-to-1. And I would normally zoom in if I was just trading this for my purposes. I'd probably zoom in a little bit. But what I'm actually looking for is to show you where we're basing our highs, our resistance, you know, things like what we saw on this chart that had us trade it. So now we're seeing a pretty good push. We're seeing excellent volume. That volume is in line with our trend up. If we see all the higher volume candles have this bigger push, and jump back over to Binance. And then we'll put the limit sell for the remaining 50%. And this is extremely laggy. We're going to move our stop up to match what we did over on TradingView. And we can see that candle ended. We had good volume, which again drove this up, which is in line with what we were looking at as far as this trend. And so we did get filled on our 50%. As that moved up above. So it shot above. You can see the candle there. We've been filled on our 30%. Or, excuse me, we've been filled on our 50%. We did bounce above our halfway. So 50% has been filled. We're now going to go ahead and crank our stop up to break even. So at this point, we've been filled. We're still getting really good volume. We've definitely got the momentum moving our way. We can see on the moving averages This is definitely moving in our direction. If we can get this last little pop up, we should be able to go ahead and jump on out of this position and call it a winner. We're definitely seeing the volume. We're only 2 minutes into this candle, and the volume's definitely looking in our favor. If this holds up, we should see this push on up on this candle, if this volume continues the way it's running now. Again, what we're always doing is we're always looking backwards. What do we have? We've got nothing here as far as resistance. So if we go back, our resistance previous, and that's why we had that line on there. Our previous resistance was right in here. See, our line was just above it. We could have probably ticked that up slightly. So if we can close, which we are, we're up here right now. If we can close above here, then our next resistance really is up there. I'll go ahead and make this purple so it doesn't get confused with the current price line. Alright, so you can see the price line up here. Still great volume, pushing this ever higher. Just needed to push it just a little bit more to hit our number. We've seen a good gain. Right now, we are up over 2%. So we're just over 2%. As you watch on that wick there. And there we just closed that candle out. But you could see we were up over 2% at this point. We just need this last 1% to close in. Really good volume on that last candle. Almost 600,000 for volume. If we look over here at the volume, almost 600,000. I think if we can continue with high volume, this is going to move up. The moment the volume falls off, as we can see by these lower red volume, that's when we actually see it move down. We've seen a 2% move up, so we're going to see a whole lot of people taking profit. And at this point, what we're really looking for is this to stay above this line here. As long as we can close above here, then our trend's definitely continuing in the direction we want it to. But we're definitely seeing a lot of volume. A lot of people taking profit after this 2% run up. If they got in back in around where we did, they've seen a 2% run up, or actually over a 2% run up. So it's probably a lot of profit taking caused this long wick down early in the candle. Now that it's starting to settle down, yeah, it's definitely really started to settle down quite a bit. We'll see if the bulls battle back in the last half of this candle. So we're down to about 2 minutes to go in this candle. See where we're going to end up. Jump over to the 1 minute. So on the 1 minute, you could see we had a whole bunch of selling off. The bulls fought back, probably getting a little more profit taking in this last minute. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Jump back over to the 5 minute. But overall, that entire candle was really just one big down movement, which profit taking. Definitely it was profit taking. So we still got about 1.5 minutes to go. So last minute, let's see if the bulls come charging in. Looks like more profit taking is what we're going to see. So we may actually get stopped out of this. Last 30 seconds or so. Let's see where we close out at. And we're about to close the candle out and move to the next candle. So again, overall, after a over 2% move up, saw a lot of profit taking. So let's see if the bulls come charging back on this candle. That was a lot of momentum towards the downside. So we may get stopped out on unless we can see some And so hopefully we can see the bulls return on this next run. We would really need to see the volume return again in order for this momentum to continue. We're right up against the moving average. If we break below this moving average, this will probably turn down, at least for a short time frame, on us. But if we can hold the moving average, then we should be able to see this continue upwards. So that's what we're looking at right now, is this moving average. And if we look backwards, we can also see a little bit of support off the top of those candles back here. So we may be able to hold this here. If we can hold this here, that'll give us a chance to recover and start moving this back in our direction. We'll go take a peek at the 1 minute. And so on the 1 minute, we can definitely see. So there was that down movement. On the 1 minute, we are starting to see on our 5 minute candle, we are starting to see movement back in our direction, momentum back in our direction. And again, we're not trading on the 1 minute, we're trading on the 5 minute. So your moving averages and things like that don't actually apply to what we're doing on the 5 minute. That's what applies. That's what we're watching. That's what we're looking at. That's what we want to see hold up, is this moving average here. Now we've been in this trade almost 50 minutes. So we've been in this trade for almost an hour. We were able to take a 1.5% profit on half of our position. So no matter what, we're going to be profitable on this trade, because even if this drops down to here, we break even on the remainder of our balance, so we will have a small profit on this trade regardless. And what we're watching right now is the last minute of this candle, last 45 seconds of this candle. If we can hold here, the bulls will hold on light volume, but we'll take it. And then hopefully we can continue our momentum back up towards the upside. Alright, final 15 seconds. Bears want to come in and win that candle over at the last moment. Who's going to win at the last moment? So we're able to maintain on that candle above the moving average. Now we opened actually below it. So the bears are looking to come back, and we may get, that came real close to stopping us out. We were able to hold the line though. That is close. So we may get stopped out here. Volume is definitely falling off. If we get the volume to pick up, that should be our bulls coming back in. Boy, that wick comes within just a hair of getting us out. And we're out. And so we break through, and we are actually stopped out. Alright, we're definitely out now. So now you can see it's definitely through that line. It's holding through that line. It's made multiple moves below that line. We're definitely stopped out now. So we were able to book a 1.5% profit on half of the position and a break even on the other half of the position. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. We wanted to give you guys an experience of what we look for when we're not using the bots, when we're actually doing our live trading throughout the day. And this was not a perfect example, but a decent example of what we were looking for. If we could have just kept the momentum, we could have got that 3%. Maybe we got greedy. Maybe we should have taken it at 2. Perhaps, but when we set a strategy, we stick to the strategy. So again, that's another example from this video. It was to show you how to stick to your strategy and execute your strategy. No matter how tempted you get, you just stick to it. So with that, we'll wrap this up. If you liked the video, click the like button for us. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We're going to try to do a lot more of these live videos for you. And if you have comments, feel free to leave them. We try to respond to everybody. And until next time, lock in those profits, and we'll see you in the next video.